What's up, studs, studettes, brozos, gigolos, my friends, my people? Welcome to the United States stock market on Christmas week. Hey, market was up again today. A little bit of a Christmas chop, but let's spend some time digging into what is happening in the United States stock market and our current Santa Claus rally and where we can go from there, along with the watch list, because there are all sorts of cool things happening in tech with space and drones. And so we have a nice diverse watch list that's starting to come about. And I think that's going to lead into a nice start to the new year for us traders here, up and down. So first of all, the QQQs is just stuck in range as it has been for months. We don't have anything new to write about it. The market's at the exact same price that it was in the beginning of October, and we don't really have any signal that that's going to be changing anytime soon. We could be in range for another couple weeks or another couple months. We don't really know. But the good thing is it has been a volatile range and that there's been themes and sectors kind of coming about. So I think the market's in a good overall shape. We're not necessarily in a huge monster bull market, but we are still in the bull market. You can see here the SPY is looking a little bit more coiled up, a little bit more tight, a little bit closer to breaking out. So I think that's also a good sign. And then, you know what? The IWM has remounted the old breakout spot. So the breakout failed and it came back into support. It's kind of remounted here. So I think that's probably a good sign too. And you're seeing that in some of the small caps and mid caps that are going. So overall, we have all indexes really going and lighting on fire. You also have, right, the next biggest index, which is gold, also breaking out, right? So a lot of stocks to trade inside gold. You know, we've been trading NEM and some of these names for quite some time, and they still look like they've got, you know, room to run. You know, if you look at, you know, NEM, some of these bad boys, like you're just coming out of a 5-6 day consolidation. You know, on the silver side, you know, this pass has been a huge moneymaker. My first ad was on this breakout, then I re-hit it, and now it's, you know, I missed this one because of the gap. I probably could have done it, frankly, on Friday, but I was a little bit preoccupied. But that's like, man, that's all you can ask for, right? Where it's just like simple, easy, clean patterns. And we have more here. I think this, you know, EXK is something that's also got a chance. Now, I've been staring at this thing for weeks, so, you know, be mindful that it might be a little bit of hopium for me to get this thing going, but I've been staring at this thing for so long. And it's right there. I mean, it's right there. My worry and why I haven't particularly taken this position is that silver keeps looking long in the tooth for me, and so I don't want it to have one of those like 7% down days and then me enter EXK at the same time. It seems like, you know, I want to wait for a little bit of that kind of stuff to just rhyme or reason a little bit better. Now, let's just get into the watches. So drones has been, I think, drones is becoming a big theme for the end of the year. We've seen already a nice 2-day push in RCAT, and we're remounting the 200-day moving average and the 50. I think this has got still room to run. You know, we saw a move in UMAC today. Big, and guys, this is where the action is. It's been spec names. Don't be sitting there grinding your balls against Palantir and Apple computers going into a Santa rally. You got to come in hot with, right, the turdiest, speckiest, you know, names possible. You get a nice W pattern on UMAC here, and you're breaking out over the 50-day moving average. That's a fantastic look. You had a little bit of a volume pop today. I think this is something we want to be adding into the watch list also. You know, the ONDS is at a sweet spot too. This stock is, you know, of course, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I did really good on this, you know, back in here from an idea from an odd stock trader. And then since it's pulled back, you know, around here, I've been trying to time it in some manner and just been, you know, getting like small pops or small losses on it while I wait for a bigger one and kind of trade around it. But it feels like it's getting there. Now, look, it was like, you know, literally sub $1, and then it went to 12. So it needed this consolidation, but I think it's going to have a little bit of a chance on it. So keep some of these drones companies on the watch list. DPRO, this one's got a nice one. You know, if you come here, let me get rid of all these lines here. But, you know, this has got another remount of the 50-day moving average. You know, the one issue with this one is it does trade a little bit thin, but who cares? The other theme besides drones, right? Space. Anything with the word space is good. You know, this FJET, this was something we were goofing around with in the chat room, and oh my gosh, like, it was all day long trender. You know, all day long trender. It did not have even a moment where you know, it broke under its EMAs. It was just a solid all day long trender. If you look at the volume accumulation, volume patterns on this, you know, all of this kind of stuff, like, it was just a monstrous, dude, just a monstrous move. And you don't get them that clean either. Now, the issue on this one, of course, was there was a little bit of a spread on it, so it wasn't the easiest of traders. But you had clean breakouts and flags. I mean, you can't really get any more constructive than this. So, Starfighters, space, this is a thing. So, let's go back into this, right? Like, you know, obviously we've seen now RKLB make its huge run. It was at $30 just a few days ago, right? Now you've hit $80. You have ASTS. It's got maybe a little bit more room to catch up to RKLB, but you've had two big sticks going into this, so you would definitely need some consolidation. But I think, you know, we can get specky here and see if maybe the actual company with the word space in it goes, right? And you can see maybe something like this gets some steam at some point. RDW is another one that, you know, is pretty close to a bottom on this. So I would add a few of these type of names on here. I would even loop in something like a Fly Aerospace into this theme here. It's a bottoming pattern. You know, this is not a hot IPO. It was a pushed up IPO like Fig that just collapsed, you know, 80, 90% or whatever this is. And now you're coming out of this bottoming pattern. This got room to run, right? You got room to run here. You could probably fill some of this gap here too. It's got a good look to it. Nice pop in volume today. Like, let's add some of this. And then while we're in it, right, space, drones, well, you might as well throw some quantum computing on this, right? So, you know, if you see here on RGTI, you're coming out of its wedge today, remounting its MAs. You got room to the 50-day moving average on this. I mean, that's like, it got 61 million shares in volume today. Not bad. You can see here with QBTS also breaking out over the 50. So look, this is kind of, right, the wall of worry here. So you pulled back, then you made a higher low, right? And it's like, you know, the Big Dipper right here. And now you're starting to break through. You know, that's a tried and true bottoming pattern. So add a little bit of something like that, you know, to this. Solars. Big breakout in FSLR, sneaky one, right? It was a sneaky one. But once again, this goes in with the themes, right? Of future, tech, right? Space, all of this kind of stuff. The sun, whatever, right? Like, you've got old FSLR here. I mean, it's got a date with, you know, this 3-somethings. And its all-time highs is really not that far away from 2008. We're looking here. Let's go to like a monthly chart here real quick. I mean, we should be stalking this one, right? Like 318. 318 is the monthly chart on FSLR. Like, that's something right there. Now, look, you can obviously see you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, months in a row where it's been higher. So we do want to, you know, have some level of, you know, maybe if we could chop around for a little bit, but it may or may not wait. You don't really always know with this, but the daily chart looks fantastic. Add that to the watch list. LUNR was a stock that we were in this morning at the open. Fantastic. This is another, right, spacey kind of name to it. Don't be surprised to see this thing rolling in at the 20s. You got a big base breakout here. This has been a 1-year long range break. These are all metal. Boom, boom, boom. Don't worry about those. Hey, this is an interesting one. This is an IPO, a recent IPO, and it is a nuclear name too. And you can see here, we've got kind of a, it came out of its first break here, and now we're entering like a second range of resistance here. I think you got a chance on this one. And if it breaks here, then I think you can go into 32, and I mean, you're really off to the races. Then we're in for a good spot. Look at, you know, Tesla's still on the watch list. It's having a little bit of trouble with this 500. It's having a little bit of trouble with this 500. It got there for a second, man. It rolled over fast. You know, maybe it'll try again tomorrow. Maybe it needs to still fake out some more. You never know. Tesla seems to be at its best, like when it's when it's unloved versus loved, but I could just be making that up. Dun-dun-dun. Now look, if we need some shorts, you know, I think probably we still have some very weak structure on like stuff like coin. You know, if we need some shorts, MSTR still has a bear flag on this one. You know, on these up days in the market, it can barely budge, like barely budge, right? Netflix still, I don't know what's going on with this thing, but you've got about a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-day range break setting up here. Let's go to like a hourly chart here. Just map it out here. I would say 92. Keep an eye on that. Just set an alert at this trend line here. And set an alert right here. You know, if it breaks under, I think that's something you got to try to take down. So that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Think about where the themes are in the market. You've got metals. So you got gold. You've got space. You've got drones. You've got quantum. You've got solars. Right? But nobody's talking about Palantir or, you know, Apple right now, right? We're talking about this other stuff, all right? Have some fun. Go out and make some bad decisions. I'm just kidding on that. But I love you guys. Peace.